So last week, got on here. So the whole point of this live today is to talk about a post that somebody posted last week. Let me be clear when I say that my intention for speaking about this has nothing to do with the person who said it. I'm gonna say that one more time. My intention for speaking about this has absolutely nothing to do with the person who said it. I could literally care less about who that person is or any of that. I'm going to say who the person is because they have a platform, and unfortunately they have been they have a mission, or it seems that they have a mission, and unfortunately sometimes when people have platforms, people listen to them even if the information that they say is wrong, false, ignorant, empty of facts. Like, that's where we are. So I'm going to say that just because I followed that person and I respected that person, and my whole point in saying it and saying who the person is so to give you permission to change your mind. So like, you could literally be like on somebody's wave, really have a lot of respect for somebody, and they can say something and you can say, that's who you are? Didn't know that. Noted. And not that we should be putting people on pedestals, but like, we do have levels of regard for people. So if you regarded somebody up here and now you know, not even just that they say stuff, because you can say things that you may not should have said, right? Or you could say things that you're like, now that I have new information, I probably should not have said that, right? So I'm not about the cancel culture. What I am about is the awareness culture. So what I am doing is bringing light to the post that was posted and letting you know who said it, so that you can maybe consider if that's somebody that you want to have high regard for. If you believe that person when they say the things that they supposedly do and who they do it for, if you feel like that is true, it's really for you to evaluate your perception of who somebody says they are, and for you to be presented with the information as it has taken place. So let me say that one more time. My purpose for even me discussing this, and also because it affects me, so me discussing this is to bring awareness to you who you may not even know that this person felt like that, because I did not, okay? So I'm just going to tell y'all the rundown of what happened. So last week, Stacey Ray, that is who made this post, posted, and I'm not sure if she posted this in her stories or on her page, but I also saw it like maybe a day or two after it was posted. So Stacey Ray posted, and if you guys don't know who Stacey Ray is, she's maybe you could say that she's one of the gurus in permanent makeup, and she really is one of the leaders, or one of the the people she has a pretty big platform, and she does areola restoration. So areola restorations is for women or men, or it doesn't matter what you identify, but people who have suffered some kind of breast trauma, be it from cancer, be it from other disease, be it from hormones, be it from them living in bodies that they don't identify with. So these people have breast traumas, will have surgery, and will not have an areola. The areola, the nipple, that is the part of the body that makes people identify as human, because male and females both have areolas and nipples, right? So an areola restoration artist specializes in creating realistic areolas in the form of tattoo to make the breast look more humane. Okay, so y'all know who that is. So Stacey Ray, that's what she does. That's what she specializes in. Last week, she posted it in her stories or on her page, on her profile. I'm not quite sure, because the post has now been removed. Where I think I went over there because I was trying to see if I followed her, and I did. And I was like, you get an unfollow. She posted this. So what she said, and I'm reading it because I don't want nobody to say that that's not what you said. So I'm reading the post, because also the other thing in this is just be mindful of what you say and how you say it, because just because you removed the post doesn't mean nobody saw it. And the thing is, sometimes when the shit you say is so salacious, so sometimes when you say it was on her page and was reposted on other stories, that's how I saw it. I saw somebody posted in the stories. I think I might have saw you post it in your stories, but I don't even remember, Bear Beauty. But Amy, I'm sorry, Amy, I don't even remember if I saw you post it, but I did see somebody else post it. I could have saw it posted on her page. But basically, sometimes when the stuff you say is so salacious, the people who you offend immediately speak out about it, and so like that would give you warrant to take it down. But I didn't see a apology, or I didn't hear nobody saying she apologized. So maybe she just took it down. What I heard was she posted the shit. The nurses who she was immediately attacking in the statement responded to her, and then she said that they were being mean to her. She took it down, and then she said they were being mean to her. I don't know. Like I said, my point in speaking about this is not to shed light on the person who said it. My whole point in speaking on this is so if you were influenced by her in any way, I want you to know who you're dealing with, and I want you to change. I'm not trying to like change her mind. I don't care to have a conversation with her. I really don't care why she thought that shit, because I know it's bogus and I know what it's really about. But my whole point is to debunk this lie, this thought process, this mindset about people, for people who may be interested in joining us and doing this work. And also because sometimes when minions speak, this shit is so low vibrational. It's a lot of people at the bottom, right? So sometimes when people speak and they have a platform, they'll post something, they'll say something, and somebody who has nothing to do with this, like a non-artist, a friend, a family member, will see something, and because they will look to the person who said it, thinking this person has high regard because they have a pretty significant platform, that person must know exactly what they're talking about, and it must be fact. It's like how when you Google shit, just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's real. Same thing. Just because a white lady, let's be clear, just because a white lady with a lot of followers says something, that does not mean the shit is true. That's where we are. So this is what Stacey Ray said. She said, and I quote, "A nurse taking a tattoo training is like a tattoo artist taking a surgery training." And then she said, "Prove me wrong." So what I said was, originally when I saw this, I thought it was so ridiculous that I didn't even feel the need to respond. Like, I saw somebody else reposted this, and they were like, "What are your thoughts?" And I read it, and I was like, that is like so ridiculous. I literally didn't even need to respond. So I'm going to read it one more time. You said what? I'm going to read it because I have it screenshotted. So apparently somebody screenshotted it. And of course, like I said, when you say something so salacious, people hold that shit. They'll be like, hold on. And then, so that's what happened. So she said, "A nurse taking a tattoo training is like a tattoo artist taking a surgery training." And then she said, "Prove me wrong." So again, I saw this when it transpired last week, and I thought it was so ridiculous that I didn't even think it needed a response. And originally, I thought it was about me, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. Because like the day before I saw this post, now you know the timeline be fucking people up, so it could have happened. It could have just happened coincidentally or at the same time, I don't know. But the day before I saw this post, I had just released a reel. And in the reel, I was tattooing someone's breast. It's not really close. It was just a little snippet. And I almost didn't post it because from the angle that I recorded it, you could see the woman's nipple, right? You could just see like a little piece of her nipple. And I usually write over stuff like that. I try to be very discreet, right? So I was not even gonna post that video, but I was like, fuck that, nah, I'm gonna post it. And then it was so quick, I was like, nobody's gonna see this. People are not really paying that much attention. And I only know that people saw it because somebody wrote under the comments, "a nipple." And I was like, what I said was relax. I was like, yes, it's a nipple, relax. You can't even really see it that big. That's why the algorithm probably didn't do nothing with it, because you really can't detect it. But if you were watching the video, you knew I was tattooing a breast. Hold that thought, okay? Just keep that in your mind. So a day later, I see this post, and it was like a part of me was like, is she talking about me? A little small part of me thought that. But I also try to check my ego at all times. And I'm like, No, she's not talking about me, because those of you who don't know, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm so sorry. I'm Latoya Danique, aka the Scar Alchemist. I'm a nurse practitioner turned tattoo goddess, and I specialize in camouflage tattoos in the paramedical realm of permanent makeup. So what that means is I create tattoos that look like skin, meaning I custom blend inks to match people's skin tone. I hide and I camouflage stretch marks, scars, other skin imperfections. And my goal getting into this industry has always been to find my way to doing and specializing in areola. So if you guys don't know my story, I've told this story several times. That is how I got to permanent makeup. When I was an oncology nurse practitioner, that means that I treated patients with cancers. I treated patients with cancer. I diagnosed, came up with treatment plans, wrote prescriptions for drugs and narcotics, and taught their family things. So I was a practicing medical provider governed by the Georgia Medical Board, regulated nationally, and monitored by the federal government, because I also had a DEA, which is the narcotic prescription that allowed for me to write for Schedule 3, 4, and 5 drugs. So, yeah, that's the job that I had before I started doing this full time. But what happened was, one of my patients was in my clinic one day and we were talking about breast. She wanted a areola restoration tattoo because she had one mastectomy on her breast, and so she was not confident in her skin. She wanted to feel more like herself after her cancer diagnosis, and so she asked me to connect her with an areola restoration artist, and she could not find one. That's the backstory. So this was I think was about maybe like 2019, right? Could not find anybody. I joked and told her I would help her because I just really thought she didn't know how to use the internet. And I went on to embark. I made that my little passion project. I was going to find her an artist. And in 2019, when I did that research, I scoured the internet and I probably found a handful of artists. There was somebody maybe in Miami, New York, the Midwest, Texas, LA, right? I'm going to say that I probably found about 7 artists, nationally, 7 tattoo artists that had like consistent work. And I mean, when consistent, I mean like maybe 5 or 6 photos, not a lot. I found about 7 artists. Out of the 7, none of them were people of color. Everybody was white. All 7 of them were white. I don't remember if there were any men, but at the time, let's just say it was all women. All of them were white, and I was very surprised by that, right? I was like, that's interesting. Damn, where are the black people? That was really what I thought. And then when I started going through the photos of their work, very few of them had pictures of black people. There was only one. The only person that I recall was Shara from Ink Boutique, Houston. She still practices now. She's the only person who I saw that even had any photos of any black women. And I was floored. I was frustrated. I was very upset, and I just was like, damn. And then I started reflecting on my own life as a nurse practitioner. In my almost a decade of being a nurse practitioner, I had never seen a patient of mine that had actually had an areola restoration. Now, I'll tell you, the first center I worked in the cancer treatment centers. Those people had really private insurance, and they had a few people who had state bad insurance, but for the most part, everybody had really good insurance. But a lot of them were from rural areas, and so I just thought that they did not get areola restorations. And then I moved to, I changed jobs, got a new job, was here in Atlanta, and started working at Grady, partnered with Emory, and so I was an Emory nurse practitioner, and I worked in the inner city. If you guys from Atlanta, y'all know that is the hospital that is transient. There are a lot of migrant people. There are a lot of foreigners. There are a lot of people who are low income, poor, cannot afford insurance. It's the hospital that the state runs and that the state helps people get health care. And so this is a very marginalized population. So very poor people. And so I figured that they did not just, I felt that they couldn't afford to get it, not realizing that insurance covers for this, right? That's my whole backstory. But what happened was, as soon as I started doing the research, I instantly felt like this was something that I was supposed to be doing, that I was supposed to help. And so my path has been, and it was to start off doing camouflage tattoos, because I could not believe that this is what I was supposed to be doing with my life at this time, right? I was I was hesitating and holding back on this. But my path was to start off doing camouflage tattoos with stretch marks and scars, because I found that first when I was looking, because what happened was I decided I wanted to do it. I started doing research on what I needed to do to become a tattoo artist and to start offering this, and really couldn't find a lot of people that was teaching it either. That was the other thing. I was like, damn, man, not only is nobody doing it, who teaches the shit, right? So, and I was trying to maximize and minimize the process to the end result. So my thought process was, okay, I found a teacher in Florida who offered areola tattoos. They were trash, so I decided not to train with her. But she did offer something else. And so I was like, oh wow, I had never heard of stretch mark camouflage. I was like, I will start off doing that and I will make my way to areolas. The backstory is, because I had been an oncology provider for so long, I was very overwhelmed with cancer. Meaning, that was my day in, day out stuff. I kind of needed a break from those people, from the whole thing, right? And so I started doing this. I'm sorry, my stuff is going off. I started doing this and I was like, I just need to do something a little lighter until I'm ready to step back into that role and work with cancer patients again. So that's my story, right? So if you guys don't know, in this industry, most of the tattoo artists have probably came to this profession, especially the women in permanent makeup, by way of makeup, hair, doing lashes. They offer some type of beauty service outside of tattoos, and then they came into it that way. I do not have that as the route. I know nothing about makeup. Y'all see some lipstick, eyeliner, foundation, some blush, and some filter. Okay, I know nothing about makeup. I know nothing about hair. My hair's in locks. Shout out to my locks. I know nothing about hair. I know nothing about makeup. I came into this role from medicine, and it is really one of the things that everybody knows about me. I am a nurse practitioner turned tattoo goddess. So when I read that, I'm bringing it back, when I read that, I sort of thought that perhaps she was talking about me, but I was like, surely she's not talking about me, right? And then I was like, no, she's not talking about me. We don't even run in the same circle. She's very much of a granola, and I'm not. You see the material. It's nothing granola about me, darling. And then I'm looking at all the people who follow her and looking at all the people that follow me, and we have very few followers in common. So it was kind of one of those things where I was like, girl, she probably don't even know who you are. Why would she be talking about you? She don't even know you. But the only reason why I thought that is because these white people ain't gave me the recognition I'm supposed to have. But surely she does know me, because thankfully last year I was a highlighted speaker on a Permanent Makeup Women of Color conference put together by Jenny Lynn, who is very well respected in all of these circles. People know her, and she has now started a platform to give people of color recognition, light, all the accolades, because I'm not the only one that the white people don't recognize. So it's a lot of us going around doing a lot of good works, and nobody's giving us recognition. So thank God Jenny decided to give us our table so we can sit down and eat as well. But what is true is that they are paying attention. So while they may not be recognizing me, they are seeing who she is recognizing. And because I got invited again, I know that the others know that I'm here, which means she probably was talking to me. Touche. But the point of this, of me speaking, is to tell you how bogus that is. So I'm just gonna be real basic, because I'm gonna break this down real basic while we get to talking. Because what she said, first of all, was prove me wrong. I'm gonna tell you how wrong she is, first of all, because, and I don't think I've ever told y'all this, but I'm going to tell you guys because I've said it in roundabout ways of saying it. When I got my tattoo license, I literally the county board of health, literally where you have to turn in your information, the people who regulate it. Now it's very different because tattoo laws are not universal. So what occurs in Atlanta, full attended cab versus wherever you are, they vary by county, they vary by city, and they vary by state. So in some places you have to do certain things to get a license, and then in another place you may not. And it's very diverse, right? So what is allowed in one place and what is not allowed in another place. But at the end of the day, all of this is governed by county, city, state regulations. It's all governed by, this is not like a he say, she say. This is very much like a jurisdiction from the city, the county, or the state. So here, when I first got my tattoo license, one of the requirements for me to get it, because I was practicing in 2 counties. For one of the counties, I had to do all of these things, right? I can't even tell you all the things that it says you were supposed to have done, because at the bottom of that paper, it's so interesting. At the bottom of that paper, there was a caveat that said, so you had to fill out all of this information and show all of these credentials and do all of these things that you should have done in your various tattoo trainings. If you went to aesthetic school, if you went to tattoo school, if you did an apprenticeship and you did all of these things. I really don't even remember what the paper said, because at the very bottom of the paper, it said, for medical professionals, specifically physicians and nurse practitioners, write your name, your medical number, and proof of licensing. And so what that meant was, if you were not a medical professional, specifically a doctor or a nurse practitioner, you had to do blah, 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 blah. But for doctors and nurse practitioners with active licenses, all you had to do was to write your information, your contact information, your name, when your license expired, and what body that you were governed by. So, darling, because I am a licensed nurse practitioner by the Georgia State Board of Medicine, the county recognized that and said, oh, well, here you go. You just fill this out and here's your license. So that is why you were wrong. Proof number 1. Bitch, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? I proved you wrong. They disagree. Because everything, and so let me just be clear. The other thing is, perhaps by the statement, she was maybe saying that, like, technically, I don't even know. That's the part that's really confusing, because at the end of the day, I think that what I'm doing now is currently art. Yes, it is art based in scientific, guidelines, because for areolas, you can't draw squares and call them areolas. They are circular shaped, right? And so, we know what a circle is. And for areolas, you can't draw stripes outside of them. You have to draw these little dots that are called, I don't even know what they're called because I'm trying to prove a point, but the little circles on the nipples that make them, they're like some kind of gland. Somebody help me out. You can't draw stripes and call that an areola. An areola is circular shaped. It has these little glands on it. They're in certain colors. If you draw a blue areola, nobody's going to recognize it as an areola, right? So it is, like I said, art based in scientific basis, right? So, but at the end of the day, it's really like scientific art. And I'm specifically talking about, thank you, Montgomery tools. Thank you. I'm specifically talking about areolas. I'm not talking about nothing else. I'm talking about paramedical tattoos. They really is based in science. So I'm assuming by that statement, Montgomery glands, exactly. See, I told you they was glands. I'm assuming by that statement, she must have been trying to say that nurses are not technical enough, which is so odd, because also a lot of people don't know that there are there's like a diverse range of nurses, just like there are a diverse range of medical professionals. And nurses run the gamut, and they come in all kind of shapes and sizes and different types of knowledge and different types of certifications. And most nurses they have been trained professionally with years of experience. Many of the nurses you see in the hospitals that we visit today are magnet hospitals, which means they have these very high academic standards that they have to have their staff complete in order to get this extra certification, in order to get all of these things paid by the government. And a lot of times the nurses, and I'm talking about the nurses, I'm not talking about people in scrubs, I'm talking about nurses, are registered nurses. Most hospitals, like here at Emory, they don't even, they phased out licensed practical nurses, which have, like most of the time, they have a 2-year degree or a certification. A registered nurse, by now, she either has a 4-year degree or she has a certain amount of years that she has been a registered nurse and she was grandfathered into the profession. So most nurses, at a minimum, have a 4-year degree. They've also studied in a nursing program for a minimum of 2 years. They've also completed an exam by their state in order to get a registered nursing license. They also have done so many years of practicals and research and studying and more or less an apprenticeship. They also are very specialized in the amount of knowledge that they have. So a nurse may be a cardiac nurse and she may not know much about skin. Now there are some nurses who are very general, but for the most of the time when you hear a nurse and you ask her where she works in a certain part of the medical field, and that is what she really knows a lot, right? Nurses work hand in hand with doctors. We've known them to be very compassionate. If you met a nurse, that means she's dedicated, because nursing school is pretty rigorous across the board. And so I think it's a pretty good profession to be respected, right? So to say that like that person who has done a lot of scientific research and has been governed by the state to practice and to assist in all of these big deal transformations that happen in the medical field, to say that that person is not capable of drawing circles on breasts is ridiculous. Maybe you were trying to say that they were not artistic or creative, but how could you speak about a whole workforce of people that you know nothing about? So that's bogus. But I want to try to say, I think what you were trying to say is that the nurses were not scientifically qualified, being that they are medical professionals. So that's very interesting that you thought that. Like I said, I don't know because it was like just one statement and it's now removed. And so like, I don't even know what they were trying to say, but I just find that to be like very interesting. So I proved you wrong on the first thing. Actually, you don't, depending on what type of nurse you are. And for people who don't know what nurse practitioners are, so they're like levels of nursing. You have like medical assistants, they aren't nurses, but people, get that confused. You have licensed practical nurses, that is LPNs. Then you have registered nurses. Then you have advanced practice nurses like myself. I have 2 nursing degrees. I have a master's in adult medicine. So I am allowed by the state of Georgia to treat anybody from the years of, I think it's about 6 to 7, all the way until end of life. No, maybe adult medicine might start at like 21. I never did peds. So let me go back to say adults 18 to end of life. So that's what I'm allowed to treat, right? And then in my same field, let me tell you what all kinds of nurses that I am equal to. So I am equal to midwives. They are also advanced practice nurses. CRNAs, those are registered nurse anesthetists. Those are the people who put you to sleep and wake you up when you have some type of surgery. A lot of times, and in a lot of states and in a lot of places, they practice independently. So if somebody went to go and get some kind of minimal exam where they had to get put to sleep, a nurse did that. When I worked at the hospital, I diagnosed and treated and developed treatment plans for people with cancers. A nurse did that. People who assist in radiology. Oh, and let me just even break it down even closer. The people who administer the chemotherapy to the cancer patients who you work with, the survivors, the cancer survivors of the cancer, of the breast cancer, the people who give them their breast cancer medicine are nurses. So you said the caption was so much worse. I think it was more that she thinks there isn't long enough training in art. And I believe she also said that nurses were tearing up the skin. Well, she should have said that. She should say that there should be more training. And then that's what she should have said. But that's a little clickbait, right? Again, you are saying that they should not have art. So again, that's probably, like I said, that might be what you're mad about, honey. I just want to know why you just didn't say that. You should just say, and then don't attack the nurses. Just say that permanent makeup training should have longer. It should be longer. Like, say the shit you're trying to say instead of saying the bullshit that you said. Because that ain't what you said. You didn't say that we need to raise the standard of education in arts. You said nurses should not be artists. Okay, so we're going to talk about what she said. We ain't going to talk about all the other fluff she was behind. We're going to talk about what she said in quotes and prove me wrong. That's what she said. So that's what I'm going to say. And like I said, because it's gone, I can't go back and read what she said or maybe what she meant. And because she ain't repost what I meant to say was, we're just going to talk about what was said. So bogus. Bogus, bogus, bogus. My whole point, again, in saying this is because there are not enough people who even offer, she specifically targeted nurses, exactly. There are not enough people who even specifically offer this as a service. There are not enough people who offer it as a service. There are not enough people who teach it as a service. So if you are complaining about something, maybe you should start with doing more on your end. And then maybe if you were as respected as you say, you could get the other people who also teach it to come together and all decide that it should be more. But that's not what you said. You said these people should not be doing it, right? So the issue is there are not enough people who offer the service. There are not enough people who teach the service. And so at the end of the day, you know who suffers from not enough people teaching it, not enough people doing it? That means not enough people receive it. And you know who's receiving areola restoration? By far, it is cancer survivors. So while you are worried around saying the nurses should not be doing, what you're really doing is turning the potential nurses and other people away from joining us in this fight. And the whole point is so that when women and men and people survive breast cancer, they can get back to the business of seeing themselves as they are as a breast cancer survivor and not looking like somebody who had cancer, okay? Because that is what areola restoration does. It makes them feel human again. It allows them to connect with their body. They don't get focused on the trauma that they experienced, and they can move on and have some kinds of peace of mind, return to freedom, closure, restoration, healing, happiness, and joy, quality of life after a cancer diagnosis. But when people with platforms spew hate as truth, what they do is spread propaganda and cause divisiveness that is offensive. And because it's targeted, you literally said this to the people who you would want really to, like, those are the people closest to the people who you say you help, and they literally have the most background out of anybody. That's literally like teaching somebody off the street about cancer versus getting somebody who already has that. The learning curve is shorter for nurses. So that would be the people who you would want to be rallying behind and encouraging them to bring along. So when you do that, what you did was just say very obvious and very clearly that only certain people should be allowed to do this, which really just ends up with only certain people being allowed to have this. So what I read was, you're not really about that life. You're not really trying to help people. You just trying to make sure that people only come to you to do the shit. Which, if we break the numbers down, we know that that's really not gonna work, because breast cancer is the number 2 cancer that people get diagnosed with in the country, behind skin cancer. So if it's affecting people, the amount of people that it's affecting, why do you think that you're gonna be able to help everybody that's a cancer survivor? Because it's not. You said, in which these patients more than likely entrust in nurses, as we are the ones who have assisted them through every dark turn that they've encountered, not a tattoo artist. Exactly. That's my point. The nurses have been there throughout the entire journey of surviving cancer. And so if anybody can relate, have empathy, be compassionate, understand, be aware, hold their hand, cheer them on, encourage them that they are more than a survivor, that they are a human being, that they are a person. If anybody is capable and qualified to do that, it is a nurse. Okay? It's a nurse. So, Now that we see that, like I said, my point is because if somebody said that and that's how they think and they put that on a platform to inspire and encourage and I don't know, maybe it was even to intimidate others. But if that's how you feel, thank you for telling us, because now we know. So I am speaking about it because I want anybody who thought that this person should be regarded just to consider who they really are, because they're not trying to help breast cancer survivors by telling an entire workforce of people who are just like the closest people to breast cancer survivors. Like literally they are a part of every breast cancer survivor's journey. They are part of that web. They are part of that quilt. They are part of their safe space. A nurse, the nursing culture, the nursing workforce is right there with these breast cancer survivors. And if you are trying to tell those people that they are not worthy of taking care of a breast cancer patient by restoring her breasts in a way that makes her feel more complete and whole, you are delirious. And I want people to know that you are spewing your delirium as truth, but it's really coming off as hate. Okay? I'm just gonna tell y'all this. Unfortunately, the reason why I said on Friday night when I read this that it was racist was because breast cancer disproportionately affects Black women at numbers that are just still in 2023. So unfortunate. As a Black woman, it's scary. So Black women have a higher mortality rate, which means they die of breast cancer. I think like at a 40% higher rate than white women. They and the interesting thing is that I think Black and white people are diagnosed with the same amount. However, Black women have a more aggressive form of breast cancer, especially in women under 40. They have a more aggressive form of breast cancer, and when they are diagnosed, it's generally in later stages, and they have more aggressive breast cancers overall. So if you can read through all of the data that I just said, what that breaks down to in layman's term is that if anybody needs these services, the people who need these services the most are Black people. And so if this white lady who is one of the gurus of this area of scientific art says that a whole workforce of people who are able-bodied, able-bodied, eager, compassionate, qualified to help do the work should not be doing it, then you know who suffers the most? The Black people who have cancer. So much so that like people don't even know that this exists when it's not even a new area. So much so that like nobody thinks that they're doing it because it's not even a new area. So much so that like the Black girls are stuck doing brows because they don't see nobody doing areolas, okay? And because ain't no Black people doing no areolas, ain't no Black people getting their areolas done, which is how I got here, because my patient who was Black also could not find an artist because there were none who looked like her. And literally she did not get that tattoo because she could not find anybody who looked like her to do it. So it's not even about trusting somebody of another race to do something. It is about wanting the connection with what feels safe and home. And because every fucking body else in America gets to make a choice about the shit they want, Black people ought to be able to do it too. Y'all go to the grocery store and go to the cereal aisle, and it's all different kind of flavors and shit of cereal. And then because you a Black girl, you gotta get Blackity Black Crunch. No. And the reason why we don't got no options and we don't got no choices because you got white ladies who cry their little white lady tears when they see people who show up to help out, to do the work, trying to do it, volunteering, sign me up, I want to help, let me aid you in the cause that you say you about. When those white people feel the threat of somebody showing up and maybe even doing it better than you, now we don't have a choice. All we have is this. And if it's only one choice, and it's a whole lot of people, less people win in the end, okay? So, I know that was a lot. I know that was a lot, but I really felt the need to say that. And then I just want to end with this last little part, because I do want to say how important it is that people recognize the contributions of nurses. And so I'm going to give a quick little snippet about one of the most famous nurses of all. Because I think when the person made this statement, I really think that they were like so insecure about what could happen in their future, that instead of bringing, like, this is how a G would have did it. This is how you would have did it if you was a G. This is how I know this is giving racist white lady and not G shit. But this is how you should have did it if you was an OG. You should have been like, it's a whole lot of nurses that are so interested in this, and I would love to partner with you guys to provide quality education so that we can deliver breast cancer survivors quality art that surpasses compassion and eagerness, but that is inclusive of science and medicine, all of the things that whatever it is that you think is missing. Like, that's what you should have did. You should have like reached out to the nurses and said you want to partner with them to help provide them the best quality care. You want to be the person to do it because you see a lack in the training, not the problem in the people who are interested in the training. Like, that's how a G would have did it. But see, he didn't do it like that. But that's how a G would have did it. But let me just tell you how important nurses are to the landscape and culture and science and medicine that we live in. So I'm going to give you just a quick little story about a very important nurse. And I don't even know if you know this person existed. So there was once upon a time a lady named Florence Nightingale. This is a true story. Florence Nightingale revolutionized nursing, and we're gonna really just say medicine because one of the principles that she pioneered is literally how we live today. So Florence Nightingale was a nurse during the Crimean War, and she helped the soldiers when they came back from the battlefields with their wounds. And she's also been noted as a statistician. I can't even say that word really good, but basically that's the people who come up with all the numbers and the data and break shit down and show you like, this is what happened when this happened, this is what happened when that happened, and they can predict things and tell you facts about the way things can end up because they've done the numbers. So she was a nurse and a number cruncher. This number crunching nurse is the person that we give credit to hand washing. She is called the Lady with the Lamps, aka the mother of modern nursing, and she is the pioneer who gathered the concept that disease transmission happens because people are using their contaminated hands and passing the germ contamination on to other things, people, and wounds. And so what she did was she did the research that proved that when you wash your hands, you can stop disease transmission. That concept was discovered by a nurse, not a doctor, not a surgeon, not a scientist, not a tattoo artist, a nurse. A nurse discovered that to minimize the spread of disease, which is number one safety rule in tattoo, or it should be to not kill your patient, give them an infection, or harm yourself, right? And the way to do that is to wash your hands, glove up, take everything down, keep everything separated, and when you get done, wash your hands. Washing your hands is literally in every bathroom in America. It's in every airport, hospital, grocery store, gas station, restaurant, kitchen, shopping mall, all the walls, all the halls. Hey. Like, the person who came up with that was a nurse. So if you're trying to say that nurses are not qualified to be artists, darling, why would you think such a thing? Where in the heavens did you get that from? If anybody is qualified to be a tattoo artist, it should surely be a nurse. And so what I really think, this is what I really think, y'all. I really think they probably got worried that if the nurses start really coming in droves to tattoo and getting real good at it, and like, fuck around and have a nurse start teaching areola tattoos. And if that nurse like get with like the insurance companies and propose that perhaps only nurses should be allowed to do this, and what that'll correlate to is like, in order for insurance to reimburse it, it must be done by a nurse. I think that would make more sense, right? That's something that you should really be threatened by. What if a nurse came along, got really good at it, started sitting on boards and started offering a program, and then proposed to insurance companies that only nurses should be allowed to perform the services because they were actually overqualified? And then what if insurance believed them and was like, wait, so the only people who we should allow to do this type of tattooing, because it's so scientifically based, and we know that the nurses actually have a shorter learning curve and probably are like overqualified to do this, and it will really make more sense for nurses to start offering this, but since we're paying for it as insurance company and it's a part of the cancer treatment package. It's actually a part of like the restorative process, just like getting the mastectomy and having implants and all those things, and aftercare, it's a part of their aftercare. What if we decided that nurses should do that? And then that would mean that like the regular tattoo artist, like the person who made that statement, since they're not a nurse, that means that insurance wouldn't cover like the stuff that they did, and then like nobody would take classes with them because who are you? You're not even credentialed. We're gonna take classes by the people who are credentialed. Maybe that's what this is about. Maybe that's what you was threatened by. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, originally I wasn't even going to talk about this shit, but this is what I have learned. Because I have the luxury, the freedom, I have been granted the gift of having my own business. I get to choose. I get the choice to speak about the things that excite me, inspire me, influence me, concern me, aggravate me, make me wonder, question, do more research and insight, and the things that are just wrong. I get the luxury to say that is some bullshit. I get to speak on that. I struggle with that because I worked in an institution where I was the voice of the hospital, and so I was not allowed to say, that's not right. But now I no longer work for the hospital and I work for myself. And this is my business. And here at Scar Alchemy, I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do. And if that means that I'm going to tell this white lady that she don't know what the hell she talking about, she not even credentialed, she been a tattoo artist. You don't even know about the landscape of the workforce that you spoke on. Girl, stop hiding behind your hate. Say what you want to say. If you really got a problem with it, the best way to do it is to be the change you want to be. That's my high level self speaking. The best way to do that is to be the change you want to be, instead of trying to promote propaganda, hate, be decisive and tell people that they not welcome. Well, you ain't the fucking tattoo police. Didn't nobody ask you anyway, and who the fuck you talking to? No. Nurses are qualified. They are more than qualified. They are a part of our culture here in society, and you don't get to tell nobody what to do. We didn't ask you, and we not listening. And we don't care what you think. That's from a nurse, darling. So as I wrap this up, I really appreciate y'all for like coming in, tuning in, being here, giving insight, sending the hearts to fire. If this inspired you, or you are curious, or you are interested in joining the rest of us that offer paramedical tattoos, it is an amazing profession. I have no regrets. I left nursing officially in the traditional manner, meaning I no longer work in a hospital or a doctor's clinic. I no longer collaborate with physicians and things like that. So I don't work in the healing mechanism in the traditional way, but I do have my own space. This is my nice 1,200 square feet studio that I treat people every single day in a very way that feels good to me, that feels good for them. I know I'm changing lives and I am transforming people, and I am still doing the work that I was always called to do here, and so I'm thankful for that. And if you want to join me and the rest of us who offer this type of art to people, I welcome you. It does not matter who you are. If you a cake baker and you train and you're certified and you're safe and you're compassionate, we want you. If you a garbage man and you done decided that you want to help people feel better about themselves through arts and science, we want you. If you are a nurse and you like to prove people wrong, especially ignorant white folks, we welcome you. So I'm going to tag some people who I would tell you to study with. I'm going to tag Ink Boutique. I'm going to tag Lena Lou Tattoo. Unfortunately, I'm going to tag, if I can remember her name, she works with Ink Boutique. If I can remember the other third person, there's 3 people that I'm going to tag. Do your research, pick the person who you think is in most in alignment with your spirit, and hopefully very soon I will also, I'm not going to start teaching off the bat, y'all, but I'm going to be offering areola tattoos, and so I'm going to be part of that landscape to help change the outcomes for breast cancer survivors by being a face and being someone of color who they can relate to. And because I was an oncology nurse practitioner for almost a decade, I know that life so well. I held so many people's hands. That is a part of who I am. That is how I got here. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to do this work. And I want you to please consider joining us. And do not let what one person said influence or even intimidate you, scare you, bully you, influence you. Don't let what one person said do change the outcome of what you know is on your heart to do, because they don't represent the rest of us. All of the white people over here don't think like that. It's just, it's her. She's the only person that I know that even thought that made any sense. And maybe the people underneath it, because I didn't read the comments, because I didn't see it when it happened. But we don't all think like that. You are more than welcome. You can sit with us. You can sit by us. Let us help you get here, and we need y'all, okay? So that is all I have to say today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it did what it was supposed to do. I feel better already. I think that for myself and everybody else who followed that artist, they just dropped down on the totem pole of regard, to the point that like I unfollowed her. I unfollowed the place that she works with. I'm just like, child, I don't need that kind of like nonsense ever coming across my timeline, and I don't even want to like be associated, even rub elbows. I don't even want you to even like be counted in the numbers of like you thinking that you valid. So I'm gonna remove myself, and I'm gonna come to my platform and tell all the people who also thought something like that about you, just to consider it, okay? Because if that's who the sheep is masquerading as, know that they're really a wolf. Okay? And I'm out. Next week, we're going to talk about We Should All Be Millionaires. That was what I was supposed to talk about today, but ironic enough, Spirit decided that we needed a change of plans, and we're going to talk about getting money next week, which I'm going to start something called Money Mondays. Y'all will see it. It hasn't started. It hasn't like really fully developed in my mind, but it's really just going to be like a fun day to dedicate to like money awareness, because I struggle with money blocks and I don't want to. And so this is going to be a therapeutic way for me to get over my money blocks. I'm going to be starting off Money Mondays, and that is perfect now that I think about it, that next week Money Mondays will start, because I will be talking about we should all be millionaires. Look at how God going to bring that thing together. So if you want to continue the conversation, you are more than welcome to DM me to let me know your thoughts from this live. I'm going to save it. I hope that, like I said, minds were changed and thoughts were enlightened, and hate was stopped and truth was highlighted, and negativity dies from this live. So that is what I hope to happen. I'm gonna send that forth. That was my intention that I started with. That's the intention I'm closing with. And so I want you all to have an amazing week. It's a little fun when the week starts off with a holiday. That makes everything shorter. Let me just add this shameless plug. The birthday bundle / anniversary sales are continuing. The special is going to end June 1st, so that's like in a couple of days. My online tattoo course is on sale. If you're interested in doing this, if you live outside of the U.S., if you need a refresher course, if you just want to see if this is something that you should get into, this is the perfect time to get this. You can buy the course for $300 off. My vendor list, if you are another tattoo artist and you want to know where I get my inks from, what I use, who I order my stuff, all of my supplies, my entire vendor list. It includes like apps I use, books I've read, everything I use is on my vendor list, and all the vendors that I use, that I vetted, that I continue to like purchase from, they are in there. And then my ebook, which is how I grew my following from 4,000 to like 35,000 last year in 2022. All of my tips, tricks, mindset, insight, everything that I did to like get my following game up is available on sale in the birthday bundle. The link is in the bio. Click on anniversary sale. It'll take you straight to it. Instant downloads. You can have that information available, and you can like finish it up and read it on through the week. Lastly, I have 2 trainings coming up, in-person training in June 15th and 16th, and a virtual training in August. I'm not quite sure of the dates, but all that information is in my bio. But what I wanted to tell you is that I now offer payment plans for my training courses. So y'all kept asking me about that, kept asking me about it. I kept doing a lot of research. I had to get a new website. So I have a new website that allows me the option to offer a payment plan portion on my website. You can pay it through Sezzle. So if that's something that you're interested in, you really want to be a part of what we're doing, come on with it, baby. The payment plans are available. It's a couple of spots left for June training. And if you can't come down here in June, we'll see you virtually for a live 2-day training in August. So y'all be blessed. Y'all have fun. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for listening to me do my thing, and I will see y'all next week. Happy holidays.